Well, amen. Good to be saved? Amen. Good to be in church? Amen. You know it's good to be in church. You've been outside? It's always good to be in church. And it's good to know you're finally unloading the Buckeyes tomorrow. They're getting out of here. Hey guys, never doubt never doubt my love for your church. If you doubt that I love your church, just walk outside. I've been in the Arctic, and it's been warmer than this. Okay, now it's been in the summer, so it's just barely warmer. But no, we always look forward to being with you guys. It is true, and I remember the first time we met the Noes, and Lori is one of those people you just remember the first time. I remember my first root canal. I remember a boil I had once when I was 9, and then it ranks right up there. All right. Go to Psalm 22. I'm just going to mention this about the book table. I was supposed to do this last night, forgot, but my wife said that everything on there tonight is 20% off. I think I might buy something. Psalm chapter 22. Just give you a little thought here. If you look at Psalm 22, 23, and 24 one time, Psalm 22 is representative of the past as far as crucifixion. Psalm 23 is the Lord is my shepherd now. And Psalm 24 is future as far as Lord reigning. But he says here in verse 1, and I told you, I was talking to you last night, we read this, verse 1, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And when we read that, we immediately think of Christ on the cross. But they did not. Do you understand? Didn't mean anything to them. And so I'm going to talk to you about those words tonight. Let's bow our heads. Let's talk to the Lord. Father, it is good to be saved. It's just always good to be saved. God, thank you for the peace of heart and peace of mind. Lord, I think we have all seen times when we've been worried about our country. Maybe there's been times that folks in here, we've been worried about our health. Who knows what we've been concerned about. God, we haven't been concerned about our salvation as far as maintaining it because we don't have to. You keep it for us. Thank you so much. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for, we talk about persevering for you, but you persevere for us. And really, God, you do so much in this relationship between us dirtballs and you. You put out way more than we do. God, it would be good if at least the rest of the time we've got down on this earth, if we would do something that would just get lost people saved and get saved folks to worship you as they should. And so God, please be in this service for the sake of these people. Get Gipp out of their way and out of your way and speak to the heart of each individual and accomplish your purpose in each life represented. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. It says here, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And we think of those words as the words of Christ, correct? But since this was before Jesus Christ, and this is David writing this, you think there's a time David said, why hast thou forsaken me? Now, isn't this the guy that is the one guy in the Bible that says God calls him a man after his own heart? I look at the life of David, and don't get me wrong, there's some things about his life that I think are great. There's some things about his life that I am not too impressed with. But where his human relationship lacked, his relationship with God did not. And he was called a man after God's own heart. And yet here's a guy that tried to please God and thought about pleasing God. So much so that one time he just said, I thirst. And 3 of his mighty men broke through, got the water from the well at the gate of Bethlehem and brought it back and gave it to him. And he said, man, what those guys were willing to pay for this water, it's almost like an act of worship, and I am not a God, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. The high value of this, I'm going to pour it out on the ground, not because I don't think much of what they did, but because I want to give that worship to God. That is a very thoughtful thing to do, is it not? And I'm going to talk to you tonight about the Lord's use of these words, but before I do, I'm going to talk to you about somebody else's use of these words. Yours. Oh, I've never thought that. Oh, come on. Come on. How long have you been saved? I mean, if you've been saved about 2 or 3 weeks, okay, then you've never felt, and when I say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? I don't mean, I was saved and now I'm lost. I don't mean that at all, guys. If you are saved, and you are going to stay saved, okay? But can you remember a time kind of like when it seemed like the Lord was doing everything with you and you saw Him active, and then there's a time like you expected something from Him and it wasn't there? Or something happened in your life. I don't know who it was. I guess, we knock these health and wealth people. We knock these people that, when you get saved, everything good's going to happen. You're never going to have a common cold again. Your car's going to get better mileage. Your mother-in-law never is going to come and visit. Nothing bad could ever happen again. And we knock those people, and yet secretly, sometimes that's exactly what we think. We think, how come I'm having this happen to me? I'm saved, and I go to church. And so people, maybe they haven't used these exact words, but here's what's wrong with you. I'm going to tell you what your problem is tonight. You are a captive of life. By that I mean, you are here, you say, well, I'm alive. Yeah, but you're not the master of your soul. You're not the captain of your ship. You know as well as I do that you can have all of your plans, and those plans will change, and it can be a divine change. It can be a tragedy. It can be any number of things, but how many people thought they were going to do something? I knew a young man many years ago, and he took acting lessons and all that slop that those people take to go to Hollywood. And he went to Hollywood and got those pictures of, all those portfolio pictures, and he got him an agent and sent his pictures out and his resume, and he tried out for all kinds of movies. And you know how close he got to fame? Now, I don't know if you realize this, but when you guys watch those stupid game shows, you think that there's the people, the audience, and then the thing that's going up here. But there's a third group there, and I call them cheerleaders. And what there are is there's young guys down here. And they're the ones that try. When you hear the crowd reacting, they're getting the crowd up. It's not just an applause sign. They're getting them to. That's what this guy. That's how far he made it up the chain in Hollywood. He became a cheerleader for a game show. And then after enough years of that, he went home with AIDS. And died and went to hell. Boy, don't you think when he went to Hollywood, he had some kind of dream of what his life was going to be? And when he died all alone in a bed with no one else in the place, do you think maybe his last thoughts were, boy, this didn't turn out like I thought it would? And a lot of people say, well, I had some plans and it didn't turn out like I thought it would. Well, that's life, guys. That's why I said you're a captive of life. Life is going to deal you something. It is not always good. It is not always pleasant, but it's still going to happen and you can't do anything about it. And so, if you ever said those words, my God, maybe you haven't said those exact words, but if you ever thought, why did you let this happen? My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Maybe your problem was health problems. Nobody likes health problems, okay? If you got there's two things. One of the things I was mentioning to you the other night about this eating your way back to Eden. You know where that stuff ends up? It ends up wherever every disease and every discomfort and every physical problem that a Christian has is actually spiritual. Because if you got a physical problem and I give you my magic that I guarantee will take care of it, and you take that magic and it doesn't take care of it, you must really have a spiritual problem. And I had somebody give me a book about that thick, and the only thing about it was I wish I had a wood burner because it would have had a purpose for that book. And it was written by a Christian. I can't remember what the name of it was. But this guy was expounding on all the stuff that was going to take care of everybody's physical problems. And there's basically two categories of physical problems. You have people who have chronic illness, and you have people who have chronic pain. Okay? Believe it or not, I am in good health. I am in bad shape because of my broken neck. But I am not in bad health. Some time ago, a few years in fact, I go to the doctor, I keep saying I'm not going to go to the doctor. They always give me bad news. Then I go to the doctor, and they give me bad news. And so I went to this doctor, and he says, so what does your blood work say? I said, I don't know. He goes, well, haven't you had it done? I said, no. He said, why not? I said, I don't want to find out. Sometimes ignorance really is bliss, and I want to be a blizzard. And so he says, well, I'm going to do your blood work. And I thought, well, there's the end of life as I know it. I'll be eating styrofoam and tofu for the rest of my life. And so this guy, he draws about 8 quarts of blood out of me, and he says, now call me in a week, and I'll tell you what the results were. Well, 3 weeks later, he called me. And he said, you forgot to call me. I said, I forget to call you. I said, no man seeks the information you're about to give me, right? I just enjoyed the last 3 weeks of hamburgers and French fries because I know that the end is near. And this guy began to tell me, with some shock, I have no problem with high blood pressure. My PSA level is normal. I have no sugar problem. He did a sonogram of the carotid artery, and he said there's no buildup even in the wall for my age. Now, I put my age down as 150. And honest, my cholesterol level isn't high. The only guy more surprised and shocked than me was him, okay? Now, you've heard this before. Sometimes doctors will accidentally get somebody else's test results switched, and I don't know that happened. He did also say I was pregnant, but that's okay. I'll take it. That's a whole lot better than the truth. But this guy writes this book, and here's the bottom line on it. The bottom line on it is this. If you are saved and you have a chronic illness, if you're here tonight, you got a diabetes problem, you got a cholesterol problem, you got fibromyalgia, you've got MS, whatever the case may be, if you have a chronic illness, it is because of unconfessed sin. Now, do you know what it's like to have a chronic illness and then have somebody throw that at you too? My pastor in Boise, Idaho has for the last 18 years fought every single day to stay alive because he has leukemia. And he does tremendous. He really does. But here's this spiritual dynamo who writes a book and says if you have chronic illness, it's unconfessed sin. And if you have chronic pain, now that's what I have. I have pain in my neck, I have pain in my back, and then there are the Democrats. But he said if you have chronic pain, it's because you haven't forgiven somebody something. Now, I thought right there might be some truth to that, because when I read that stupid synopsis, my pain levels shot up, because I had one more idiot that I could not forgive for being so stupid. But guys, look, I'm telling you, there are people that have health problems all of their lives. And you know what they say? I didn't have this coming. I had some plans and it messed me up. I was talking with Nathan Lind here the other day. He's in Marines. You guys know that. I think the last time I was here, or one other time before that, he was here. And I have prayed for Nathan Lind every single day since he went in the Marine Corps. And I was in a church not long ago, and there was a young man and a robust young guy, about 19 years old, and he went to join the Marine Corps. And I can't remember what the physical problem was. It was just one little physical thing, and they wouldn't let him in the Marine Corps. You know what his dream was? He just wanted to be a Marine. He wasn't hoping to be, some hero or anything like that. He just wanted to get in and do his part. And some physical problem kept him from it. You know what happens sometimes when those things happen? You just say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why did you let this happen? I think I've told you guys, my wife's youngest brother, Jeff Vaughn, is a pastor in West Virginia. And he and his wife, they were expecting a child, and she miscarried, and they lost that child. She was expecting a second child. She miscarried, lost that child. And she was expecting the third child, which was, and she gave birth to a little boy. And Jeff was so excited. He was so excited that, and he's holding his little baby. And he said, I noticed that the doctors were excited too, because they were all paying attention to my son and nobody else's baby. And he said, after going through all of that, and we finally had a son, he said, the doctor called me in a room the night my child was born and said, you guys have heard this. You have 2 upper chambers and 2 lower chambers in your heart, 4 chambers in the heart. And you have heard about people who had like a pinhole between the wall. The doctor called him in and said, your son has no wall at all in the upper chamber. He has a 3-chambered heart. The blood is not going through his lungs. It is not picking up oxygen as it should. And he said, he'll not live through the night. Oh, man. I mean, that was devastating. And you know, I was telling you about reading your Bible and you never know when God will talk to you. And here's what Jeff told me. He said, I went home that night. He had to go in and tell his wife, take the joy out of her heart about that. And he had to tell her what was going to happen. He said, I went home and he said, I hadn't read my 10 pages that day. And he said, when I opened up my Bible, I was in Chronicles. And he said, I told the Lord, you know what? I don't need Chronicles tonight. I need Psalms. And he said, I'm going to read Psalms. And he's so dedicated to proper duty, he thought, well, if I read Psalms, I still got to read my 10-page Chronicles, so I'll read my Chronicles and then get to Psalms. He said, you know something? I never got to Psalms. He said, God spoke to my heart that night out of Chronicles like he's never spoken to me before. You say, oh, really? Where was that? I wouldn't tell you to save your life. I mean, you would say, well, what is that to you? Because if you weren't in the darkness, the light wouldn't shine for you. Do you understand? And he went back to the hospital that next day, and the baby was still alive, and the baby was still alive the next day. And the baby began to rally, and they did everything they could. And they've said no child has ever lived past 9 years old with this condition. That child is 26, 29. He is 29 years old today. He's had so many surgeries. I mean, his chest, and he's been opened up. He's got veins. They've run veins all around to try to make up for that. And they've told him, they said, there's nothing more we can do to you. I mean, every day he lives, he makes medical history. And he's married, and he's an assistant pastor, and you will never meet anybody with a sweeter spirit than he has. He couldn't run from here to that door. His lips would turn blue. He wouldn't get enough oxygen. But he never goes through life saying, why did it have to happen to me? Why hast thou forsaken me? What I'm telling you guys is, you say, well, I have this health problem. Hey, I got news for you. Whatever your health problem is, somebody's got a worse health problem. I was having lunch with Kath one time. I do that often. And it was just not one of my better days, I'll be honest with you. I couldn't even finish lunch. I was just really not in good shape. And my wife is sitting across the table from me in this restaurant, teared up because of the way things were. And look, she's a good lady. This is a good lady I married. And I looked at her, I said, babe, look, I know you think that I've got it bad. But I said, I don't have it as bad as the guy that just came through the door. Because I could see the front door of the restaurant. The front door of the restaurant just opened. Somebody held it open. And a young man came in there. He never took a step in there. He was operating his wheelchair by blowing in a straw. He was like this. He couldn't move one muscle, and all he would do is just and move that. That is the way I'm supposed to be since 1973. You think I'm complaining about a headache? You think I'm going to gripe? I was flying someplace one day. Kath wasn't with me. I was on the airplane. Not a good day. And I said to the Lord, Lord, I fed myself today, I dressed myself today, and I carried my own luggage. What am I supposed to complain about? And if you got a physical problem, look, I am on your side. I am sorry for your physical problem. I am sorry if it's a chronic illness. I am sorry if it's chronic pain. But get over it. Don't shake your fist at heaven. Don't you say, God, why'd you do this? Because I got news for you. There are people that are far worse than you. And they got a far better attitude than you. And so don't get this, health problems did it. Marital problems. I had a guy one time spread a rumor that I'd been divorced. And I don't often, when people say bad things about me, I don't ever call them up, but I called this guy up. My wife and I, look, I'd never been married. Kathy is my one wife, never been married before her, and haven't been married to anybody since I married her. And so I called this guy up, and I am ready to rip his face off. And I said, and I just got on him. And this guy just said, man, I am so sorry. He said, I misunderstood something that I heard. I apologize. And a guy just folded up his tent, man. And so I was so blessed. I sent him a whole box of books. They were all the same one. But some we couldn't sell. But what I'm saying is, there are some people, and they thought they were going to serve God. There were some young men, and they said, I'm going to go to the mission field. And they married this young girl in Bible college. And then she said, well, I'm not going to the mission field. And just walked out the door and left him. And there are guys that are not in the ministry today because of marital problems, because of a divorce. Look, I don't think anybody says At least not in Christianity. I think they do it in the world now. I'll just get married. If it doesn't work, we'll get divorced. But in Christianity, we don't do that. And I don't care what you believe about divorce and remarriage or anything else. I got news for you. There is no divorce that does not leave a scar. And it turns people's lives upside down and inside out. And if it does not mess up the husband, if it does not mess up the wife, I got news for it. It really tears up the kids. And maybe maybe it's a kid. The kid says, I don't know what happened to my parents. I thought everything was fine. Now one weekend I'm with my dad, and the other weekend I'm with my mom, and he tells me everything wrong with my mom, and she tells me everything wrong with my dad, and they don't even like to be in the same room with each other. How would you like to go through that? Maybe some of you do. Maybe that's what you come from, and you say, well, why did that have to happen? Why, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Look, I am sorry. But we get this idea. Could I give you a thought? We Christians, we are conservative as a rule. We do not believe in the entitlement mentality of the population, correct? Amen. This, the government owes me everything. We don't believe that the government owes every American citizen everything. Isn't that true? Amen. Isn't it funny that we don't believe in the entitlement philosophy between us and the government, but we all believe in the entitlement philosophy between us and God? We all think God should make sure I've got a great job. We all think God should make sure I got a great marriage. We all think God should make sure I never break my leg. We all think God should make sure my kids never break my heart. We all think God that we are entitled to an absolute flawless 5-mile-an-hour bumpered padded life. That's not real. You say, why? Because I told you you're a captive of life. Maybe it's a job. They say that I don't know what the percentage is, and I would be in error to try to guess, but it's more than 50% of people who go to college and get some kind of a degree. They get out of college and never use what they got their education for. Our oldest son John, I can still remember him one time when Kathy was she was doing math with him, and he was he was struggling with math. I think it was second grade math. I think he was 17. And but he was, and he said this. He said, why do I need math? I'm never going to use it. Well, he needs math because she is his teacher, and I am the motivational therapist. She teaches him, and I make him want to learn. And so, he went, and he went to Pensacola and graduated from Bible school, and then he went to the Marine Corps and got through there, and then he came back and went to University of West Florida and got a bachelor's degree in business. And today he runs his own construction company, and he does all of the estimating, and all he ever does is math. And between the education that lady back there gave him and the business degree, he actually uses his college education. He really does. But, there are so many people, this young generation, they all think they're going to be computer graphics people. They're all going to be great photographers. Everybody is captivated by a camera. And they all think they're going to, I'm going to be this greatest photographer. Hey, I got news for you. You find a public school class of 25 kids, and probably 15 of them think they're going to be photographers, and the other 10 think they're going to be graphic artists. And if there's anybody, that's undecided in there, they're going to come out making some kind of a computer game and end up a millionaire. And you have these people, and they say, well, I planned this. And I went out there to do this, and then my job never opened up. You know how many changes we've seen in our life? You know what you saw? You saw cassette tapes come on and off, right? I wasn't around when they started records, okay, other than police records, but they had records, before I was born. And I saw those disappear. And then they had these reel-to-reel tapes. But I remember when the cassette came, and then the cassette. And now some of you're seeing the CD come and the CD go. But could you imagine being a reel-to-reel? I went to college to be a reel-to-reel tape recorder repairman. Boy, you're out of a job. I mean, I'm telling you guys, maybe you lost a job. Maybe your career was not what you thought it would be. Maybe you did everything right, and then the top echelon of your company promoted their nephew instead of you anyway. And then you went somewhere. I always say this, you go out behind the barn and you say something to God you shouldn't say. I'm going to tell you something, guys. If there's anything I thank God for, it is that He doesn't shoot the lightning bolts real quick. He's not real fast on the draw, because if He was, this room might be empty. And you go back behind the barn and you shake your fist at heaven and say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And He just looks down and goes, there's the idiot again. And if you're smart, if you've ever done that, as quick as you can, get back behind the barn and say, thanks for not killing me the other day, and I'm sorry for what I said. But maybe it was your job. Maybe it was a broken friendship. What is this? BFF? Best friends for life? And they last 5 minutes? You ever had a friend turn on you? Man, I had friends turn on me before I got saved. I had friends turn on me after I got saved. Hurts just as bad. I mean, people that, guys, it's like a brother. I don't like this word bromance, The world has a problem with it. But there'll be guys and they're like brothers. There's girls that are like sisters. And then something happens and those two, they don't just part company, they become enemies. I'll bet you, I'm talking to somebody tonight, there was somebody that you loved them like a brother, loved them like a sister. You'd be friends all of your life. And today, not only are you not friends, but man, they don't ever miss a chance to badmouth you. And it breaks your heart. And you say, well, why'd that have to happen? My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Maybe it is the death of a loved one. One of the things I try to be careful of in the ministry is to not say something that is not true. And sometimes because we're preachers and we have to comfort a lot of people. And so we have a tendency to say this. You always want to be careful of saying this. You be careful when you're dealing with somebody with a broken heart. Be careful of saying this. I understand how you feel. My wife and I, in our life, we have really fought some battles. Not with each other. No. We get along fine. I'm talking about because of the stand we've taken over the book and things like that. Life has had some physical problems. Life has had some tough times. Let me tell you what we've never done. We have never buried a child. We have never buried one of our sons. Now, I did think about burying one of them once. Anyway, but we've never buried a child. And there are people, like I told you, my brother-in-law, man, they bury this child. And I understand, my brother was killed in a motorcycle accident when he was 27 years old. And every year my mom would say, well, this is his birthday. February 23rd, this is his birthday. He'd be this old today. He'd be 69 today. He'd be 69 he'd be 70 next month. And you say, well, why is that? Well, you know what it's like? I think of war situations, and you raise a child, and you bring this boy up, and you've got some dreams for him, and you just think you just want to have him have a life, and he goes to a war situation, and they send you back an 18-year-old in a box. And if it's your only child, that just takes... I had a friend of mine, a boyhood friend of mine. We grew up together, and we went to different Catholic churches, but we grew up together. We were family friends, and he had a son, and sent that son to the Gulf War, and his son died. Only boy in the family. And sometimes it's like that. I remember I was at a church one time, and the pastor said, will you go to the hospital and see this young lady with me? I said, sure. And he goes, now, she just tried to kill herself. And she's 16 years old. I'm trying to remember the story correctly. She's 16 years old, and 2 years ago, when she was 14, her mom died. Her mom was saved, dad saved, she's saved, and she's been mad at God ever since her mom died. And so we went, and she wasn't real hostile toward us, but you could tell she was upset with God. And she went into her what her problem was, that God this girl loved her mother, and her mother had died, and way before time, guys. I mean, 14-year-olds are usually don't have 70 and 80-year-old mothers. So her mom died way early, and this girl was mad. And I said, let me ask you a question. I said, did you love your mom? I wouldn't try to trick her or anything. I said, do you love your mom? She goes, yes, I love my mom. And I said, and here's what I tell people: when you have to bury somebody that you love, they're saved. Now you think about this. If there's somebody on this planet that you love, Our love, like my wife, I love my wife. Our love can only take them, here's death. Our love can only influence them up to death. I can buy my wife Christmas presents. I can take my wife. We're talking tonight about we're gonna treat our glazed withdrawal tomorrow on the way down to Cincinnati, and we just like to go get burgers. Man, we've not got a burger today. We just like it, and so everything about the person we love, we can only touch their life. We can only have any influence on them while they're alive. Isn't that true? Because once they die, they are beyond our reach. Isn't that true? But look at this. If you are saved and the person you love is saved, the one that died, all right, your love cares for them right up to death. And then you know what we do? We hand them off to someone who loves them far more than we do. We hand them off to the Lord Jesus Christ himself. And I said, you love your mom? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, look, I said, did you treat your mom good? And did you show your love toward her? And I wasn't trying to convict her. She said, yes, I did. And I said, you'd do anything for your mom, right? And I said, yeah. And I said, but look, your love could only get her to the grave. But I said, once she dies, she's beyond your help. I said, you couldn't keep her out of hell if you tried. But Jesus Christ died to keep her out of hell. And I said, when your mom died, your love took her to death, but the Lord picked it up from there. And she is in the hands of somebody today that loves her far more than you do. And it's perfect love, is it not? Look, I am sorry. I am sorry if you buried a loved one and they were saved. I am sorry for the whole. Look, there's times it leaves a hole in your life that nothing else can fill. But that doesn't mean you say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me, and walk out the door of the church and never come back. Doesn't mean you say, I'm close my Bible, not read it anymore, and I'm going to be mad at God the rest of my life. Why would you get mad at somebody who took care of the soul of the person you love the most, and you couldn't take care of their soul? Amen. Why would you not love him that much more? You know, that girl got it. Laying in that hospital bed, that 16-year-old girl, brother, I mean, the light came on, and she got back in gear for God. Amen. And you know what she's looking forward to? You know exactly what she's looking forward to. One of these days, she'll step on the other side, and she'll see her mom again. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think when she sees her mom on the other side, her mom's going to go, man, it sure has been rough since I got this place. I'll tell you, they just haven't taken very good care of me. Really, don't you think if her mom gets to tell her anything about what heaven has been like, that girl's going to realize all the good years that her mom had that weren't on this earth? What I'm telling you, I don't know what it is that sparked you to think it or to say it. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? But guys, I'm telling you, life will do it. You know what I tell people life is like? Life is like walking into a dark room and somebody kicking you in the stomach. That's what life will do to you. And you'll be laying on your back, gasping for air, wondering, should I even bother getting up? Yes, you should. Yes, you should. You've got to get back up. But I want you to look at something else. Take a look at Mark chapter 15. For those words that we read there were actually spoken by David, but they were prophetically about the Lord. And here's where this 22nd Psalm got an eternal new meaning. It says in verse 34, Mark chapter 15, verse 34, and at the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which is being interpreted, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Now, I got news for you. I am sorry. I'm telling you, I'm sorry. I am sorry for your grief. I'm sorry for your heartbreak. I'm sorry, guys. You know, you guys all think I'm a tough guy, but I am not happy about people who have heartbreak. I am not happy about people who have health problems and marriage problems and family problems and kid problems and money problems. I'm telling you, I am on your side. But when you and I say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Come on, you know what you are. You are a sinner, are you not? And isn't this the cool thing to say? How are you doing? Better than I deserve. Oh, really? Then why are you still mad at God because of what happened in your life? Brother, I'll tell you what. You know, I get nights I don't sleep at all, and I'm up there. You know, just I won't tell you what all is going on, but it's just I am not going to be sleeping that night, and I don't have any problem. Believe me, if you can have pain without depression, I have it. Totally unemotional pain. I will be up all night long because the pain is so bad I can't sleep. But I don't go, oh, I can't stand this. I mean, I have a great time with God. I tell Him I have no complaint against you. And I've told Him so many times, God, if this is all I ever get, man, did I get off light. Did I ever get off light? You know why? Because I've never gone to hell. If every day could be called a hell from now to the last time I breathe my last breath on this earth, I got news for you, bucko. We all got off light, did we not? If you never have another smile day in your life, if you never have another blue sky day in your life, if you never have anything that lightens your load the rest of your life, we are going to get off light, are we not? But we're not going to hell. We deserve hell. He didn't deserve anything. I mean, He didn't deserve anything like what He got. Oh yeah, He deserves some things. He deserved worship. He deserved praise. He deserved glory. He deserves our love. He deserves our adoration. Yeah, those things He deserved. I'm talking about the bad. Let me ask you something. Wasn't the only clean man ever walked the earth? He's only the second sinless man to ever set foot on this earth, and the first one blew it in Genesis 3. But the second Adam became a living spirit. Did you ever stop and think about this? The only blood on the hands of Jesus Christ is what seeped out of the nail holes. I preached in a church one time, and there was a saved hitman for the mafia there. He used to kill people. He got saved. That guy had blood on his hands. Man, do you understand there's no blood on his hands? I know you say, well, there's no blood on my hands. Well, I know there's no blood on your hands, but come on. Didn't you ever just, all right, here's how I say it. You're talking to somebody, and they mention a third party that they like and you don't, and a little wicked voice inside your head says, well, I'll make sure that by the end of this conversation, they don't think as highly of them as they do right now. That's blood on your hands. Why would anybody be proud of destroying a church? You know whatever gets my head tumbling is these people that talk about local church. Guys, I believe in the local church. But they talk local church, I believe in the local church. Then they get mad at their pastor and they leave and they do everything they can to do what? Hurt the church that they left. If those people really believed all this stuff they said about the local church, you know what they'd say? Man, I'd like to do something, but I won't. But instead, because they're right, they get on the telephone. Now, we're Baptists, man. What? Thank God, Baptists never gossip. Well, you know that's true. How many of you are dirty, rotten gossips? Okay, see? No hands went up. But Baptists can spread killer prayer requests. We split a church with a prayer request. Well, we love our pastor, you know. We're just praying about him, you know. Somebody asked me one time when Obama was president, they said, were you praying for him? I said, every day. I said, but he's still alive. But, and no, I never prayed that God kill him. I really never did. I never did. You know what I pray for bad people like that? I have one prayer. Disarm them. I never ask God to do anything bad to Hillary Clinton. I mean, look at her face. Bad enough. But I mean, really, I don't, the people that hate me or hate my country, I just say, God, disarm them. Because if Barack Obama had no power to ever hurt this country again, then who cares? Doesn't matter. So if you want a prayer for the people that you dislike in our government or the other parties or whatever it is, then say, God, disarm the wicked people. And that is all I ever pray. That is as vindictive as I get. But he had no blood on his hands. Did you ever stop and think about this? He had nail holes in his feet, didn't he? Right? Those are feet that never took him where your feet have taken you. What if you had to give an account of every place your feet took you? You might wish you could have 18 minutes of silence on the tape, like Nixon had. Wouldn't you like to edit a little bit of your footpath out of your life? You stop and think about this. No place Jesus Christ ever went, he ever had to worry. Those feet never took him where your feet and my feet have taken me. My feet have taken me some things it took the blood of Christ to forgive. His feet have never took him places yours took you. His lips never said things like what your lips have said. We have said some things, have we not? We have said some things about people we hated or wanted to hurt. Maybe you said some things about God. But do you ever stop and think about this? He never said anything. You know, this is the strongest thing he ever said to God, my, why hast thou forsaken me? And whenever people say, yeah, why did God forsake him? Why did he say that? And I said, you know why? Well, here's just what I think. Maybe he looked 2,000 years into the future, and all these people called Christians that are carrying his name, he saw how we're living. And he said, man, they got my God, why hast thou forsaken me? You say, well, why did God forsake him? Because when he looked down the cross, he didn't see his son. He saw Sam Gipp. And he had every right to forsake me. Amen. But oh, no. In your case, he didn't see Sam Gipp. He saw you. And you know exactly why he should have forsaken you, don't you? Oh, man, I'm telling you guys, we got off good. And he never said the things that you have said. You know, I can't get over it. It is somehow, I'm going to try to perfect the liberal apology. And the liberal apology is you can say anything you want and then say, now, I really didn't mean to offend anybody when I said that, you know, anybody who disagrees with me should drop dead and rot. So if you were offended by that by accident, somehow you were so stupid as to be offended, I'm sorry. Isn't that really the liberal apology? They're the only ones that when they apologize, they hit you with one more mud ball. But he never did this. He never said anything. Come on, you ever say anything and almost as the words are going out of your mouth, you went, oh man, I wish I could grab them and stuff them back in there. His mouth never said the things your mouth said. He had nail holes in those hands, but those hands never did anything. You understand those hands could never be found guilty of anything improper. He never picked anybody's pocket. He never wrote something down trying to split friends up. He never put those hands where they shouldn't have been. Those hands, though they were blood-stained, they were pure as driven snow, were they not? And his hands didn't do what your hands have done and what my hands have done. See, that's what I'm saying. If we were on the cross, we couldn't even say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? You know what we'd say? My God, I know why thou hast forsaken me. Isn't that true? His eyes never looked on what your eyes have looked on. Well, if we're going to answer for everything that our eyes have seen, are we not in trouble? Yeah. But those eyes never did. He was God in the flesh, was he not? Don't you reckon he could see a lot more than you and I could see? But he never used those eyes in an improper way. He never used those hands in an improper way. He never used, what does it say? It says that when about talking, it says that we're going to answer for every idle word. Oh man, that one just shocks me. That sends a bolt of terror through my soul. But he never did anything with his mouth. He never did anything with his eyes. He never did anything with his feet. He never did anything with his hands. Hey, let me ask you a question. You think his mind was as bad as yours? He never thought the things you have thought. Bible says he was tempted with sin, but he never gave in. You know what that tells me? That tells me two things. It doesn't tell me one thing. It tells me two things. Number one, he was sinless, right? That's the easy thing. But you know what else it tells me? Being tempted to sin isn't sin. But oh man, we don't, it's kind of like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And sin says, come here. And goes, I'm like, okay, we'll be right there. And, I hate to say this, but somebody probably could be in a chair, unable to scratch their nose if it itches or wipe it if it runs, and unable to feed themselves, and their mind would still be worthy of hell. But his mind was pure. I mean, if there was anything that Jesus Christ was, he was as pure as driven snow. And yet here he hung on a cross, and he had to look up to his Father. Hey, let me ask you this. I don't know what your relationship was like with your father. Did he love his? Did his father love him? Man, you couldn't get a better father-son relationship. Hollywood can't make a movie to cover that kind of a father-son relationship. Isn't that true? Yet he hung on a cross because it was you and because of me. And he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? These hands are pure. My eyes are pure. My mouth has been pure. My heart has been pure. My feet have kept me clean. And here I am on a cross. He didn't have it coming. I'm sorry. I don't mean this. I know that God does not punish us with our sins, with griefs of things like that down here. But the fact is that no matter what comes your way, you're still getting off light. Isn't it true? Amen. But he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Let me ask you just one question. Whom forsook whom? So what are you saying? We always say it this way, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? What did he ever do wrong? Well, then he couldn't forsake us. But we forsake him. Isn't it odd that we forsake God and blame him for forsaking us? Isn't it odd that we say we love God and yet we find a way to accuse him of all the problems we have in our lives? This God that we say that we love, we have a way to say so. You know in that thing, take a look. Just go to Luke chapter 19 for a second. Luke chapter 19. And I think this is our parable. Look at verse 11. And as he heard these things, he added and spake a parable because he was nigh to Jerusalem, and because they thought that the kingdom of God should immediately appear. He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom in return. You know that nobleman is Jesus Christ. And he called his 10 servants. 10 is a Gentile number. That's us. And delivered them 10 pounds. There's that Gentile number, pound. This is not to be confused with the parable of the talents. That is a Jewish parable. Oh man, you know why? Because you're a bunch of Gentiles, and you know what you're concerned about? Equality. We all want equality. How come his piece of pie is bigger than my piece of pie? Isn't that how we are? And so in that Jewish parable, one guy gets 1 talent, one guy gets 2 talents, one guy gets 5 talents. Stop and think about this. If you guys came to church next Sunday morning, and there's a line here, and your pastor's standing there, and everybody that comes through the door, he's giving them $100. Be here Sunday. Anyway, just for showing up, you got $100. Is that good? Yeah. So you get up there, and when you get there, pastor hands you a $100 bill. Thanks for coming. And then you just take a step past, and the person behind you steps up, and he goes, and you know what? I'm giving you $500. You know you turn around. You got $100 you didn't earn, and you go, how come he got 5? Shut up! Amen. It's like losing money on a game show. You never had it anyway. I lost $35,000. No, you didn't. You never had it. Guys, this is the parable of the pounds. And you got 10 people and they all get a pound. Ladies, these are the pounds that you want to gain. Verse 13, he said unto his servants, he called unto his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come. But his citizens hated him. All right, so you got the nobleman in verse 12. That's the Lord Jesus Christ. You have the servants, the Gentiles, that's us. You got the citizens. You say, well, who are the citizens? Oh, man, I've been watching them drive by. Car just went by right now. You ever ask anybody to go to church with you and they'll go, well, that's the only day I got. Oh, that's the only day of rest I got. I'm not going there with a bunch of... I mean, isn't it amazing how... you know what they're really saying? We'll not have this man reign over us. 15, it came to pass when he was returned, having received the kingdom, that he commanded these servants to be called unto him to whom he had given the money, that he might know how much each man had gained by trading. Then came the first, saying, Lord, thy pound hath gained 10 pounds. This guy, could you imagine giving somebody $1,000 and him giving you 10,000 back? That's a pretty good return. Now, it's nothing like Hillary. You give her 10,000, you get 100 million, but this guy probably did it legally. But, hey, if I don't believe in investing. Well, I'll bet you if you knew you were going to give somebody 1,000 and get 10,000 back, I'll bet your conviction would waver a little bit. And he said unto him, well, thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful over very little, verse 17, have thou authority over 10 cities. And the second came, saying, Lord, thy pound hath gained 5 pounds. He's not the entrepreneur that the first guy is, but you'd give a guy $1,000 if he got $5,000 back. But watch the environmentalist when he shows up. Well, let's look at this guy, verse 19. And he said, likewise to him, be thou also over 5 cities. Now, here's the environmentalist. And I really mean this because look what it says in verse 20. Another came saying, Lord, behold, here is thy pound, which I have kept laid up in a napkin. Not only did I do nothing with it, the guy's all preoccupied with preserving it. I told you we're going to make the earth green and pristine. And we're going to put more trees out there. And we're going to fix the hole in the ozone. And we're going to stop global warming. And we're going to quit using fossil fuels. Can I give you a thought, since you probably haven't had one since you put your remote down? What if tomorrow magically we never withdrew another ounce of oil out of the earth? Just magically. We never needed oil again. And all the oil that's in the earth would still be there. Well, wouldn't it be like it ran out? Wouldn't it be like we ran out of oil? You know, if I was worried about running out of oil, you know what I'd say? Then let's use it all up. Because when I know we use the last drop, I might be interested in an electric car. But until then, give me the 396, pal, okay? I want something that idles like a coffee pot. But look what the guy says, verse 20. And another came saying, Lord, behold, here is thy pound, which I have kept laid up in a napkin. For I feared thee, because thou art an austere man. Thou takest up that thou laidest not down, thou reapest that thou didst not sow. If this is Jesus Christ, do you realize what the servant just said about his own master? You say, oh, who would say that? You would. You didn't frame it exactly like that. You said, how come you let this happen in my life? Why did this have to happen? My God, why hast thou forsaken me? And the very people that we shoot our mouths off about how much we love him, we're the ones that shake our fists the hardest. We're the ones that stomp out of church. Man, how many, come on, you never visited a Christian who said, I went to church faithfully, and then this happened, and I never went back again? And I'm not talking about a church split. I'm not talking about they're mad because somebody in church hurt them. I mean their gripe was with God. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Let me ask you a question tonight. Who forsook who? And who has been true? I'm always glad when I see people. You know, one of the things about your church is you come in and I see people here, like I see them all the time. Brother Brewer, he's been here as long as I can remember. Brother Edmonds, Brother Barrett, of course the Noes, other people, you know, I come in here, I see them. This past June, I preached the 40th anniversary of the church I used to pastor. The pastor that is there now celebrated 26 years. It was the 40th anniversary of the church. And there were people that were there over 30 years ago when I left. You know, when you're a pastor, you know what you get to do? I was talking to a young man not long ago. I was in a meeting, and he'd been saved some time ago, many years ago, got away from God, got back right with God about a year ago. And I was in the church where he went back, and I saw him. And right after he got right with God, you know how you think, oh man, I hope this guy stays with it. I don't know if this guy's really got his feet firmly set. You know what I'm saying? And I saw him a year later. Boy, he talks all different. I mean, the pride is gone. And there's more spiritual maturity in his voice. And he's not anywhere where he's going to be next year and the year after that and the year after that. But guys, you know when you're a pastor, you know what you do? You see somebody get saved and you watch them grow. I don't see that. I'm an evangelist. You know, you're one of very few churches I'm in every year. I don't know, it was last year, the year before. I preached in a church. The last time I preached there was 22 years ago. The last time I preached in that church 22 years earlier, when I preached there 22 years ago, the pastor's dad was 52 years old, and 22 years later, the pastor was 52 years old. That same year I preached in a church, last time I preached there was 31 years ago. Yeah, I walked in that church, and there were people that were there 31 years ago. You know, you don't have any idea what a blessing it is when I walk into a church like this one and I see the same people. You say, what happened? Oh, don't tell me. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm not calling you guys a bad name. But it's not all about how much you love the Lord. I know you love the Lord, but you know what it is? You know what some of you just said? I ain't quitting now. I've been through enough of this. I'm not quitting now. Man, don't quit now, guys, because the Lord might come next week. And you don't want to turn in your pink slip. You don't want to turn in your resignation and then have the Lord come back. You understand? And you know what some of you said? Some of you said, I am upset with some things that God did, and I'm upset about this, and I'm upset about that, but I am just going to stick with this until I breathe my last breath. God bless you. I am sorry. You know what I think of? I think of that Ephesian church. It says they left their first love, and I think you ought to keep your first love, okay? But you know what I see that Ephesian Christian like? You know, you get this 18-year-old kid, and he joins the army, and he goes, man, we're going to fight for Mom, apple pie, Chevrolet. Brother Edmonds. Anyway, and, but you see what I'm saying? Oh, this guy's gung-ho, I love America. And I don't know if you realize this, but there are 21-year-old second lieutenants running platoons with a sergeant that is 40 years old. And he's been in that service since he was 18 years old. And another 18-year-old kid gets in the platoon and says, oh, we're going to attack them tomorrow. Let's go out tonight. Man, let's get the enemies of our democracy. Let's get those people that hate America. You know what that 40-year-old sergeant says? Oh, don't worry, kid. We're going in tomorrow. Well, yeah, but you know, why are we waiting? I mean, what are they doing even as we speak? We need to go get them right now. Well, no, don't worry about it, kid. Well, we just need to go and show them that we really mean business. We're going to do that very thing tomorrow. There will be time to die tomorrow. Amen. You know what the 18-year-old kid says? You don't love this country, buddy. You're talking to a guy that's just put in 30 years of his life. This guy's put in 20, 30 years of his life for it. That kid may come in and 3 years later get out of the army and never look back. And I'm sorry. I am telling you, I am so sorry. You know, I hate to say it. You know, some people, they say, I get up every morning and I go to the window and I say, perhaps today. Yes, perhaps today the Lord is coming. I get up every morning, I go, perhaps today I'll have the coronary. Right? Perhaps today I'll get hit by the bus. But guys, you know what you do? Stay with it. Just stay with it. I'm going to tell you, love the Lord. I'm telling you, if you have any outstanding issues with God, apologize to Him because He is never, ever wrong. I probably have given you this prayer. I'm going to give you this prayer again. It is not wrong to say to God, I disagree with you. It's not wrong to say that as long as you finish that prayer with this. Don't ever say that without saying this. But you're right and I'm wrong. Because our finite mudball brains will never 100% agree with God. Do you understand that? We can never visualize things like He does. We don't think on the same plane. And so we're going to, hey, I've said it this way. I highly disagree with what's going on in my life right now. But I know who the idiot is in this picture. And it's me every time. You know, I don't know how you feel about that. That blesses my heart. I just love knowing that every time I disagree with God, I know I'm wrong and I know He's right. Because then there's no question. So we just keep on going. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? How many people were in church? I'll bet some of you know people that were in church. Something happened. They got out of church. I don't mean they went someplace else. I mean they just hit the bushes. And you see him, I'm not getting back here. I did all this for God, and look what he never took care of me, and he never. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? I'm going to say this and I'll be done. I am sorry for every grief. I am sorry for every heartbreak. I am sorry for every tear. I am sorry for every time you got blindsided by life. I am sorry. I am sorry that God has not made your life like this movie where it ends with we all live happily ever after. I am sorry, okay? But He has not forsaken you. He has not forsaken you. Don't you forsake Him. And if you said anything to God, if I were you, as quick as I could, I would get back behind the barn. I'd say, oh Lord, forgive me for what I said. I am so sorry for how stupid I was. You know what I tell God? I know you're right, and I don't even know why, because I still think my way's better. But you're right, and I am wrong. And if you can finish everything with that, you'll get through okay. And here's what you need to do. You say, God, I am going to keep on going until I breathe my last breath. I'm going to be in church as long as the doors are open and the lights are on. As long as I've got the power to get through the door, I am going to keep on going. We had a man in my church, I'd get done. We had a man in the church that I'm a member of. And his son is in the church there now. He was raised in church, never left the Lord. He's with the Lord. And this guy, he was not called to preach, but he went over to the mission field and helped another missionary for a number of years. Then he came back and then got cancer. Oh, man. Boy, I mean, I am telling you, cancer worked him over like Sylvester Stallone. I mean, he lost every battle he could possibly lose with cancer. But the last time I saw him, he's about as big around as that little piece of metal for holding the microphone. And I can still see him. It was on a Wednesday night. And he was sitting back in the sanctuary. It was all he could do to sit up. But you know why he was there? Because he still had the strength to make it. He was dead before Saturday. He was in church the last time he could be in church. What a man. What a man of God. What a Christian. You say, well, how do I do that? Keep on going until you die or until you hear a real loud trumpet. I'd like you to stand with your heads bowed.